Wow, welcome everyone. We're here and you're there, and I wish we were together, but thank you for joining us for our first annual virtual tea. We feel very sophisticated right now. I'm Yvette Marr, Chief Development Officer for Dream Centers, joined by, and in person, which we're very excited about, Jean Turner. So Jean, aren't we lovely with our hats on?
I know, right?
We are excited because, like you, we've all been in quarantine, and like you, we've been socially distancing. But here's a phrase I want us to capture. Instead of socially distancing, we're calling it physically distancing because we need our social connections, which is why we're here with you, and we're so excited that you are here with us. But Jean, what do we need to do first out of the gate?
We got to get rid of
We got to get rid of these hats. Okay, sorry. They're beautiful and they're fun, and now you get the real deal. Jean and I come to you as the real deal because for the first time in literally a month, I did find my makeup bag and put on a little makeup for you. And we've had the COVID, is it 19 or 20, that our discussions?
Yeah, we're calling it the COVID-20. We're adding to it today. So with
our extra layers. But we're excited because this next hour is to invite you into so many stories. This next hour is to invite you into Dream Centers, and we're just grateful. We're grateful that you're with us. We want you to be able to text us, ask us questions. We know some of you are watching online, you're watching on Facebook. We're trying to be as live as we can be in this physically distancing situation. So Jean, tell us a little bit about the theme, and I know Jean and the amazing Women's Auxiliary team have been working for weeks and weeks and weeks to prepare for you. So where did this begin?
So the theme of the tea this year comes from Isaiah 35:2. It says, "It shall blossom abundantly and rejoice, even with joy and singing." Who would have known that 3 months ago when the Women's Auxiliary was choosing the theme for this tea that it would be so incredibly timely? Most of us right now are in some kind of our own wilderness or desert, but it's a temporary place. We're feeling grief, sorrow, isolation, even anger. But we know that it will change once COVID-19 gets over. But for the women and children who come to us, this is an experience that they have daily. And it's such a beautiful picture how Isaiah 35 talks about the restoration that God will bring into the desert, and the beauty and blossoming will return. And that's exactly what Dream Centers is able to come alongside these women and do every day in the lives of people in our community.
And you've been out in the community just a little bit because in order to make this beautiful presentation for you, Jean went to a store, and you have to share the story.
This was amazing. So every once in a while, you know that God is using you through Dream Centers. And I was at King Soopers purchasing items for our tea, and the lady in the checkout line happened to comment on what a sweet tooth I must have. And I started explaining to her, well, it's for a tea that's not really a tea, it's virtual. And I told her about the Dream Center's mission, what we do, that we bring hope and healing to people in the Pikes Peak region, and that we have Mary's Home, which offers supportive housing for single mothers with children, and we have a free women's health clinic for uninsured and underinsured women. And she looked at me, and her eyes got big, and she said, "A free clinic?" And I proceeded to explain to her that we offered it for anyone who didn't have insurance or didn't have enough insurance. And we were talking through our masks. And she started to explain to me her medical situation. And she was in her 60s and had a very serious medical condition. Her husband had died a year ago, and nothing had been the same since then. She didn't have insurance, and tears started to well up in her eyes as she said, I can really get in and get health care insurance because this situation had been going on for 3 weeks, and she can't get insurance during COVID-19. She couldn't get into the emergency room, and she is going to be able now to get the services she needs. So it was one of those experiences that was so amazing that God actually used me to share Dream Centers with someone, and it's going to change her life. So on that note, let's go to Natalie right now. Dream Centers Women's Clinic is what we were just talking about, actually, and we're going to go now to our clinic director, PA Natalie Johnson. Natalie?
Hey, Yvette and Jean. Thank you guys so much. Actually, that patient that you were talking about, she has called and she mentioned your name. So we're going to get her in and be able to take care of her. Praise God. A lot of the patients that we're seeing at this time are going through a very difficult time during this pandemic. There's so much uncertainty. So many people have lost their jobs. They don't know how they're going to put food on the table, how they're going to keep going, how they're going to provide for their whole family. So there's a lot of depression and anxiety right now, and we're very thankful to have our counselors here. Our counselors are seeing patients on a regular basis via telemedicine, which has been such a blessing. So I wanted to show you guys a little bit of the clinic. Those of you who haven't been here before, I'd like to give you just a quick tour around and talk to you about what we do here, what we're doing right now. So as we walk through the clinic, this first room right here is one of our exam rooms. And we have 4 exam rooms in the clinic, but this is one where we actually see patients and we do procedures in here. And then if we go over here, we have our lab where we have our pharmacy and our lab equipment right over here. And as we go down the hall, we have some restrooms on this side, and then we have patient rooms on this side as well. So right over here, you'll see another patient room. And then another patient room over here. And then we'll get to our front desk up here. So this is our other patient room right here. And then if you see right here, we have our lovely Stacy, our first impressions director. So I'm going to show you guys a little bit more. I'm sorry, we're trying to get the TV here. Okay. So over on this side, we have counseling upstairs, and we have our resource advocate. And if you look over here, we actually have our station when you first come in. Patients are to sanitize their hands, put a mask on, and then we'll go ahead and get them checked in so that they can be seen. So in this front area, we have a lot of samples that we get from different things like Direct Relief, AmeriCares, where we can help provide for the needs of our patients, and they're free to take from these tables whatever they need, whatever they want. On this side, we actually have a kid play area. This is where our patients usually wait for chiropractic. And we have an area where the kids can play while their moms are getting their treatment, getting either gynecology, ultrasounds, treatment, whatever it may be. So back this way, we have our prayer room. So we have prayer volunteers who come in and they'll pray with the patients, pray for the patients who leave prayer requests. And these people are just so wonderful. They pray faithfully and consistently for these patients, and we see amazing results from that. So such a blessing. And then if we head down this way, we actually have our ultrasound room right over here. And this is our wonderful sonographer, Samantha, who's working hard. Hello. Okay, so back this way, we have our break room over here. And then we have our last patient room right here, patient room number 4. So thank you guys so much for joining us today for this quick tour. We are open a few days a week to see patients because we have the proper equipment, but we're not able to have the volunteers come in right now because it's just so hard to get that much equipment to keep everyone safe and protected. So we are so thankful that we're able to see these patients and help keep them out of the ER, because so many of them would go to the ER for problems that don't need to be seen there. We want to keep them safe, keep them healthy, and keep them from having that huge bill from going to the ER, getting exposed to COVID. It's just such a blessing. And as you can see, this work is necessary. We need to be here helping these patients, serving them in so many ways, helping them with their physical, mental, and spiritual health. It's such a vital thing to serve our community in this way. So thank you guys so much. Such a blessing to be part of this tea together. And we're so blessed, so thankful for you guys. Back to you, Jean.
And we are so very blessed and grateful for you and the entire team at the Women's Clinic. My goodness, what stories have been and what stories will continue. We're so excited that the Lord has connected us with the women of this city. I love that. And speaking of women of this city, we have a dear friend, a personal friend as well as a professional friend. Dr. Debbie Grabinek is joining us. And Dr. Debbie Grabinek, I always introduce her as just Dr. Smarty Pants because she's brilliant, and that drives her crazy. But she truly is a dear professional counselor. Let me give you her title. She is a licensed clinical social worker, as well as the Chief Learning Officer with Aaliyah. And Debbie has poured in. She's one of our key volunteers. She has poured into Dream Centers. She's been to Mary's home with her training and expertise, not only for the moms, but to our volunteers and our staff. And Debbie, it is such a delight to welcome you.
You know, I was going to post a little video about...
It's wonderful to be here, and I'm excited to share some time with you all.
Well, I wish we could be in person, but due to everything right now, circumstances as they are, we are going to have a fun little chat here. And again, we are taking your questions right now. But Debbie, I wanted to share a video because I saw a video actually this week on Facebook that I thought expressed so much of what many of us are going to. Watch this video.
You know, I was going to post a little video about unexpected joys and cool things that are happening during this quarantine. And I thought about doing that like a week or so ago and then just pushed it off until today. And then the reality is that today is that I don't feel great. And I don't really want to talk about the unexpected joys today. I want to talk about the fact that this is getting real and this is not fun and this is hard and losing some motivation and focus and energy. So that's the real tea today. Would love to hear what you're thinking today, if you are finding unexpected joys or if you are finding yourself unexpectedly not very joyful today. Lots of kisses.
My goodness. Okay, that breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart. First of all, we hear it in her voice, don't we? And her words are so expressive. So Debbie, I would love for you to speak to the women who may be watching right now that go check, check, check.
Well, part of my professional job is that I support people all over the U.S. And by doing that, I'm hearing the same refrain from almost anybody and everybody I'm talking to. And I think that one of the things we can do at the very beginning is to name it, to tame it. And I think that we're not calling it what it is. We're experiencing a level of grief that we've never seen before. Think about the stages of grief. The first one is denial. We've been, for a while, wondering, what's this going to look like? And so we've been denying the impact of it. And then the next stage is that bargaining. We're trying to make sense of this. We're trying to come up with things about how to respond. Then the next one is anger. And oh my gosh, if you're not feeling anger, it's just a matter of time until you get to that place. We're having anger about multiple things. The losses, we haven't really identified what the losses are. These losses are everything from what we wanted, our freedom of choices, our options to go out. And then the next stage of grief is that depression. And I want you to be aware of, think about the consequences of this significant emotional contact. We're seeing rises in violence, seeing rises in abuse, neglect, alcoholism. And I think that we're only beginning to see the impact. And we women shoulder a lot of that as we're trying to show up. And, you know, all of a sudden now we're teachers, we're full-time cooks, we are trying to do all of the stuff. So that's what I'm seeing a little bit of that. And I know that you all are seeing that, your experiences as well.
It's so true. One of the questions that we've received this morning, and you just hit on it, I'm spinning so many plates right now. I'm working at home. I'm homeschooling. I'm the chef for all meals. I'm wife and mom, and I love this part, and I'm snack police. And I cry in the shower because it's the only place I can be alone. I feel like I'm failing at everything. You just nailed it. That seems to be a common thread and sentiment, is it? And I loved from our video, and Debbie, I'd love for you to talk a little bit more about something she said. losing focus. How focused should we be right now while we're spinning all of these plates? Are we supposed to be able to do all of them well right now? Please say no.
Yeah, I don't even think I need to answer that because you answered that very aptly. The brain is not able to. We're under stress. And when the brain is under stress, it can't manage all those things. And so being able to let go. We just did an exercise with some people yesterday, and we were talking about what are the things that you can intentionally let go of and what are the things to intentionally hold on to. And I'm encouraging people, let go of perfectionism. It's not going to happen. Let go of those things that we think we should be doing. You know, I'm seeing on Facebook, oh, I've learned a new language. I can do 500 push-ups, all this. I just kind of go, well, I'm surviving. I love to cook, not every day. And so being able to still try to work, show up, and be myself, trying to take care of myself in the process. So I think you can't manage all this, like something goes. And that's okay.
But, as you're speaking, I'm thinking, okay, but I'm really trying. But if we have that veil of shame that we wrestle with anyway, what does it do when this is layer upon layer upon layer, and it's really hitting those shame notes right now?
I love that you brought up shame because that's a personal study of me, of my own. The three things that make shame grow are silence, apathy, and judgment. And so when you think about that, we're not talking about it. We're being private about growing in our brains and even in our body. Then we get judged by people about, why did you have this done? Why did you make perfect Mickey Mouse for breakfast? And so we get all these messages coming in. But you know what the antidote to shame is?
Tell me.
Any guesses? Empathy.
Okay, good. I was going to say compassion, empathy. Beautiful.
You were right on. Empathy makes a hostile environment shame. So think about it. I call you up and I say, oh man, I really blew it. I screwed this up royal. And you go, well, I told you should have, and you layer it on to me with judgment. Well, my shame just goes through a whole other spiral. But if I call you and say, oh, once again, I blew it, and you say, well, of course, Debbie, you've got so much going on, and, I feel really bad for you, then that's just going to dissipate my shame. And then that's when we can allow the Lord to come in with his loving kindness and his compassion and fill us up.
Here's another question. I'm a mess one day, and I'm happy the next. I'm mad some days, and then some days I seem fine. But I can't get into a good routine. Can you help me walk out some practical steps?
Yes, and I hate to go straight to trying to fix and give advice. What I would say is sometimes we just have to sit with those feelings where we are. And that's why I love Psalm so much, because David just really talks about, oh, woe is me. And he doesn't go, and I shouldn't be woeful. He just says, oh, woe is me. And he just sits in it. And I think sometimes we have to sit in it so we can move through it and capture that. And I'm okay with that, being okay with the imperfections of that. And I also believe that movement is one of the best things we can do. It helps us get unstuck because our emotions get all stuck in our body. We need to be moving, drinking water, be having time with work. We need to connect with people socially. I've been setting up social happy hour and have loved my girlfriends, and we just laugh around to me. And I'd like to throw in that I think at the core of some of these things is our own fear and anxiety that we're not enough. And that enoughness is really tempering how we can show up. And I think that that's something personally that I've struggled with my entire life. It's why I went to school. It's why I got degrees. I was never smart enough. I was never thin enough. I was never good enough. And so I started that I was enough. And that's part of why I like the ups and the downs, that start to believe those lies that we're not enough. And one day God spoke, and I wouldn't say this often, and it was one of those moments he spoke, and he said, "You're right, Debbie, you aren't enough, you'll never be enough, and I am." He said, "I am." And that's what he says in scriptures, "I am." And that's what he exists. He exists to be what I need. So he exists to be that calm for me. He exists to be the strength for me. And there's multiple scriptures that reveal that in such a way. And it looks like you have another question.
I do. In fact, we have so many questions. This would be a great time for me to invite everyone who's watching to keep your questions coming, because we're going to run out of time today, though we would love to just stay here all afternoon. But what I'd love to invite you to is a new thing that we're going to be doing. It's going to be the Dream Center's Huddle Up. And we're going to be meeting for 15 minutes. And check out the website to get all the details. But we're just going to continue this dialogue a little bit. We'll have Dr. Debbie Grabinek on for a few minutes, and we will have other guests addressing the questions that we are hearing from you and that we're also experiencing here at the Women's Clinic and also watching from Mary's Home. So stay tuned for more of that. But Dr. Debbie, before we let you go, I want to ask you a couple of things. One thing that is a natural consequence right now with all of this physical distancing, social distancing, and the quarantine, sadly, are the statistics that's happening that we see over and over again about the increase of domestic violence, abuse, the situations that absolutely are horrific. But that is, it's part of what's happening right now. What would you say either to be able to speak to those women who are walking this out, or to just all of us, words of wisdom, maybe for ourself and protection, but also how do we address this if we sense or know or hear that something's going on with a friend or a neighbor or our own family?
It's so close to my heart because this is so hard, and sometimes women don't feel like they have their voice and they don't feel like they have a choice. And so sometimes we can intervene on their behalf, and we can give them resources. They can call Tessa. It's a great resource here in our community. The police department, they are specially trained. They will send somebody out to intervene. If you have any suspicions, don't think that you have to investigate, prove it. Just do something. Call, check in on somebody. Let them know that you're a lifeline, that you can be an advocate for them. Help them find that voice. It's really scary to be all alone when things are going well. And it's terrifying to be alone when you have something that volatile and that violent and that scary to be going through.
No, that's good.
You know, I'm just going to add one more thing. Just letting somebody know you're there. I'm here. I'm here. And it doesn't have to be anything other than a text, a note. I've seen people at the store before and knew that it was not good and just made eye contact, tried to affirm that.
That's so good. I love that. And it goes right back to what we were saying, empathy, compassion, showing up, letting people know, even though we can't perhaps hug or embrace, I see you and you are seen. Do you have a favorite scripture right now that you're clinging to?
Yes, I do. 1 John 4:18 probably is my all-time, one of my favorites. It says, perfect love casts out all fear. And God the Father is our perfect love, and he can reside in us, and they don't coexist. So when we allow more and more indwelling of him, the fear doesn't have a place to take root and grow. And so that's probably one of mine. And then another one is Isaiah 41:10, and I wrote it out here. It says, so do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. And listen to all the things he says he will do. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. He's a pretty awesome God.
Amen. I love that. I do love that. Okay, so here's one that says, I'm becoming more aware that I've placed value on my worth than I realized. Can you talk specifically to that?
Well, I, again, would go back to that enoughness. And in this, especially with social media, we have all of these things about being smart enough, creative enough, Pinterest enough, fit enough, and that embeds in us that message that we are not enough, and that feeds into our worthiness. And then it affects how we want to show up, because we can't show up if we don't feel like we're even worthy. We shut down, we sleep, we don't even give it an opportunity because we're so frozen by our own fear and unworthiness. And there's no easy fix to that. That's really about reaching out to somebody else that can boost you up, or spending some time in prayer with the Lord as well.
Last one here, and I love that whoever sent this in, thank you for caring. Here's the question. How are the moms and kids at Mary's home walking out this whole social distancing quarantine, and what's happening for them to keep their spirits up? So thank you for that. Thank you for praying for them, first and foremost. And I'll be honest, it's been difficult. It's been stressful. It's been very difficult for not only for the moms and kids, but also for the staff to navigate. This is new territory for all of us. Our new normal is learning how to show up and do the things that we want to do and know to do, and yet we can't do. And so I love that you're asking that, and I'll ask you to keep praying for them. They are, as best as they can, trying to check in on each other. And Jean, I don't know if you've got any other stories. I know you've been in a little bit more connection with some of the moms and with some of the staff from Mary's Home. Anything you'd like to add?
I have. I've actually talked to Mary, and she sent in a video. In case you guys didn't see it, it was in our pre-roll video, which you can watch on YouTube later. But Mary talked about how some of the moms are coming alongside of each other. That there's a few of the moms that have been sick, not with COVID-19, but there's been another mom that has been going out and getting groceries for them. She's been checking in on them, and they're developing their own support community, which has been really beautiful to see how they're coming alongside of each other and learning to show each other compassion.
So good. And Debbie, I think you would echo this, but as we close out our time with you, I want to say thank you for all that you do for Dream Centers, for all that you do for so many of us, and personally, just thank you, because I feel like I am your biggest fan and probably most highest maintenance client. So thank you for that. It is a treasure. But as I close, I would love for you to put any bow on this, but one of the things that I thought for practicality, I've heard you say this, it's so important, and especially right now, to have schedule, structure, and some predictability. Will you close us out and give a word to anyone who's watching right now on those tips?
Well, one of the things that something like this brings up is all our own previous trauma histories. And I think about all the mothers at Mary's Home that are experiencing that. And so what we can do is to create structure and predictability, because that decreases anxiety. And when that decreases anxiety, then we do better. And so the more that we can predict, the more that we can create, we're creating safety and containment. And that's vital to our growth and to our healing. So it's as much as we can, what we can control, and then let go of what we can't. So, and that's what I would say. And the one last thing, we have to show up with grace for each other. That's vital. Grace, grace, grace. And when you think you have no more, scoop in, pull it out, try to show up with just a little bit more grace.
So good. Really good. Thank you again, Dr. Debbie Grabinyk.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Yes, always know that you are a dear friend, and we're going to have more times to chat with more questions as the weeks progress.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Jean, this time is going to go by so fast.
Yes.
Oh, my
Thank
word.
you. That was great what you guys were talking about. I can relate to that. One day I'm feeling fine, and the next day I'm feeling angry and isolated. So I can totally relate to that. We have a video now that kind of talks about how this pandemic has robbed you and I of some of our hopes and dreams, but not nearly the way that it does some of the women and the children and people that come to Dream Centers. And this is a great video that shows how Dream Centers is allowed to come in and step in and help empower these people, empower people to rebuild their dreams. And enjoy the video.
What is a dream? Is it a fantasy? Is it an illusion? A distraction that only disappoints?
When I was diagnosed with cancer, I didn't think I would be able to dream. I didn't know how I was going to pay the bills. I had lost all my hope.
We've been interviewing moms, and we've welcomed in 3 new families with their children. They're coming right out of homelessness, domestic violence, very severe situations.
They're saying, no, I got dreams. I just need a little supportive community and a safe place to live, and I'm going to pursue those dreams for my family.
A dream is a seed of the future, a seed of hope. What is your dream? I want to be a firefighter. I want to be a ballerina. I want to be in the Air Force.
I think you can see that we're seeing a theme here, that COVID-19 has been a big inconvenience for a lot of us. But for the mothers and children at Mary's Home, they know these struggles every day. And no one can understand them more than those courageous women and children that are living at Mary's Home. So it is my pleasure now to go to our Mary's Home Director, Program Director, Mary Hoggett, and our special guest, the mom in the purple hat that you've all been waiting to meet. Mary?
Well, hello, Jean and Yvette. Thank you so much. We are so excited to be here at the Ladies' Tea, and my favorite part is that we get to chat with one of the Mary's Home moms, the lady in the purple hat. And of course, because we love this mom and we want to protect her identity and keep her story confidential, you won't be seeing her face, but you'll be seeing her beautiful purple hat. So here we go. Well, hello. You look so beautiful.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. It's so good to see you. Do you have your tea?
I do.
I've got mine. Cheers.
Cheers.
I've got a little muffin here. I heard that you have homemade cookies.
I do.
That's
They're yummy
fun.
too.
That's fun. Well, thank you so much. I'm so thankful that you are sharing your story with us, and I know that it will have incredible impact for those that get to hear what you're sharing with us today. So let's jump in.
Okay.
Okay. So you came to Mary's Home a while ago. Will you just share with us a little bit about what you had to overcome or leave behind in order to come to Mary's Home?
Coming into Mary's Home, I was leaving an abusive relationship, and I had to overcome my fear of isolation because I was isolated in the relationship, but I felt like I was facing a new type of isolation coming here.
That makes sense. Leaving everything that you knew, even though you knew what you needed to leave for your own safety, for the safety of your children. You said that you felt isolated in the relationship. Will you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, I was cut off from my family and friends. I was told, oh, you don't know what they're saying about you, or, Like he was basically pitting me against them. And so for a while, for years, like it was just us, me, him, and my girls.
I'm so sorry. So then you had to leave that and kind of jump into whatever the future would hold, not even really knowing what that would be, but you took that huge and courageous step. That's amazing. So while you've been here at Mary's Home, and you've been here a little while, and you've been in classes, and you live in this community of other single moms, how have you seen yourself grow and blossom during that time?
I've seen myself grow and blossom because coming into the situation, I wasn't really comfortable with people. Like, I had issues with isolation, and having friends that are so warm and welcoming, that helped me a lot to come out of my shell. And I feel like I'm a lot more social than I was before. I'm still an introvert, but I have friends outside of just myself,
That's
and my
so
kids.
Good. You're allowed to be an introvert. And like you said, you have a community of other mothers and children around you that you and your children get to experience healthy relationships and new relationships. How have you seen your children grow through this?
I feel like they've become a lot more social as well. I feel like they're learning more every day, learning from other kids, and my oldest is talking a lot better. Like, she's always had her own little language, but now she's more so making sense, and I know what she's saying. And she's teaching her little sister how to become her own person as well.
That's amazing. That is so amazing. I remember you telling me once that before you came to Mary's Home, you didn't feel beautiful. You didn't feel seen. That you weren't, that you weren't appreciated. You didn't have that belief in yourself. How is that different now?
It's different now because I don't have anyone to say, no, you can't do that, or, question why I'm trying to do my makeup or why I'm trying to do anything to look good or, to treat myself. And I feel a certain freedom with that, as far as not having an answer to anyone.
So you see now that you are beautiful.
Yeah.
And you get to live in that.
Right.
And you're teaching your children that they are beautiful as well.
Yes, definitely.
That has been one of the most incredible blossoming things that I've seen of you while you've been at Mary's Home, that it's awakened in you. Your beauty has awakened and you're now aware of it and living in it. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So when you look to your future then, what do you see? What are you pursuing?
So right now I'm in school for cosmetology. I'm pursuing a career in the beauty industry, period. Like, I want to be able to do anything that anyone wants. And my goal in that is just to make everyone feel beautiful, because we all are in our own way.
That is so true. That is so very true. So give me specifics. And I know that beauty is more than, our hair and our makeup, but as women, we like to look pretty. But tell me what beauty means to you, what beauty you see in yourself and what beauty you see in your children.
To me, beauty is strength. And I feel like me and my kids are pursuing that even as I speak now. I feel like, I'm able to do anything that I set my mind to, and I'm just trying to instill that in them. And they already are pursuing that because they're able to do pretty much anything that they set their mind to do.
That's amazing. Where does that beauty come from? Where does that real beauty come from?
I think it comes from within. It comes from your upbringing. It comes from God. It's a lot that plays into that factor of beauty.
All right. Do you see beauty in the community here at Mary's Home?
I do. I definitely do.
It's so good. So I have an interesting question for you. With this COVID-19, we have all had to step into a new way of life, different than what we've known before, and without really knowing what the future holds. That's exactly what you did when you came to Mary's Home. So what wisdom can you share with us during this very interesting, very different time?
You know, the COVID-19 is very scary. It's very rapid. You know, it's very difficult to deal with. So the only thing I can really say is, you know, we all should do our part and stay home and, you know, stay safe and stay clean.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. I think you're right. There are responsibilities that we need to take upon ourselves, but we don't have to live in fear, that we just need to live in the consciousness of what we really need to do. We have a couple questions from the audience. As we're watching live, some of our viewers are sending in some questions. So can I ask you a couple more questions? Okay. So how would you encourage women who are trying to make the same decision you did to leave a relationship and jump into an unknown place like Mary's Home for Help? What would you say to that woman?
Anyone out there that is in an abusive relationship, you do not deserve it. You don't. You deserve better. And I just want you all to learn how to be courageous enough to leave, because I know it's hard to do. And especially for people that don't have a place like Mary's Home and, you know, wouldn't know what their next move would be. All I can say is just do it, because God has something much more better in store for you. And no one is meant to be abused, no one at all.
That's powerful. That is so powerful. Those are the words that somebody needs to hang on to. Somebody that's watching today needs to hang on to and know that that is not their future, and there is a new future. Thank you for sharing that. That's so amazing. Okay, so here's our second question. What would you say to the Colorado Springs community on the necessity for a place like Mary's Home? How necessary is Mary's Home?
Mary's Home is so necessary. Like, it's the stepping stone for a lot of us here. Like, you know, I don't know if there wasn't a Mary's Home, I don't know if I ever would have left. So, you know, with that being said, that's a lot, because abuse is hard. You can't, it's, you know, I'm sorry. It's very necessary.
It is. Yep, I agree. And it's more than just even leaving a relationship. It's stepping into that new future. It's getting all the tools that you need and the time that you need and the healing that you need and the community that is needed to really be able to see yourself again, to experience yourself again, and to raise your children to be able to know themselves. So thank you so much. So as we finish up this tea, which I'm so thankful to have spent this time with you, but I'm just wondering, is there anyone that you would like to thank for the path that has helped you change the path that you've been on?
Yes, first of all, I would like to thank God, because without Him, nothing is possible. I would like to thank my mentors, my teachers, my volunteers. I would like to thank my family and friends and my community for helping me to come back into who I really am. I would like to thank anybody who had a hand in making this tea possible. I find it a blessing to be able to share my story, because I feel like it might have an impact on at least just one person, one woman that has been through the same thing as me.
Wow, 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 wow. Two words, hard and holy, come to mind. What a hard and holy 3 words. And courageous work that this beautiful mom in the purple hat has shared. Wow, just it's so impactful to hear straight from both the trial, but also the hope, to get the hope that she has expressed. And I know she's speaking on behalf of many of the moms that live at Mary's Home, as well as many of you out there. I think while she was talking, I'm sure that some of you, it was a trigger, and it maybe hit some hard places and hard and holy work that you're doing right now. And I just lift you up to the Lord, and we lift you up in prayer. But she beautifully expressed really what Dream Centers is all about. And that is, she said it, she said, I don't know what I would do if they were not here. And that is a sentiment that we hear on the daily. We hear it over and over again. What if the clinic wasn't here? What if the doors were not open for those women who don't have insurance or are underinsured right now, and they are suffering through and walking out their pain and the fear of what that might bring? But the Women's Clinic is here, and we're so grateful, and we're so thankful. And Mary's Home is here, and we're so grateful, and we're so thankful. But it's because you have joined with us as a community. You've joined with us not only financially, but you've joined with us. The volunteer program here at Dream Centers is just remarkable, because I think that may be one of the hardest things to give is our time. But we are blessed because so many of you have said, I'm going to step in with my time. I'm going to step in with my skill sets. My goodness, in our supportive programs here and the wraparound services, for example, at Mary's Home, we have mentors stepping into the role saying, listen, I know how to do parenting classes and some cooking classes and budgeting classes. I want to step into the lives of these courageous women and their children and help them to succeed. And so it's because of you, it's because of the volunteers, it's because of your contributions that are truly not only keeping the doors open, but it's doing what we talk about. We talk about not just surviving, but thriving. And Dream Centers is here to be that place, to be that support for so many, the vulnerable in our community, right here. And we're so grateful. I jotted down a few things because I didn't want to miss anything, because there's so many just points that we want to make sure that we're able to make with you. But I wanted to read just a little bit, because we've talked a little bit about the COVID-19, the pandemic, and what that means. But if you would, here's a visual. Layer upon layer upon layer. If you were to take everything you've been experiencing in these last few weeks and then put layer upon layer upon layer on top of it, that really has been what has been just magnified for the women and the children that we are privileged to serve here. The truth is, the important services that we are able to provide here are ongoing. It's magnified right now, but we don't anticipate them getting any lighter, because the problem in our city is that the hidden homeless, for example, it is the fastest growing population in our city. And so for us to be able to say, we want to step into that space and we want to step into that place to provide stability and to provide all that's needed, it's going to require all of us. And I want to say it's going to require you. And I want to invite you. I hope it's been a blessing today. I hope that some of these stories have been a blessing. I hope that you are buzzing about this long after this cameras go down and the show is over, because I want you to feel a certain responsibility, but also an opportunity to share with others, maybe something you learned today, maybe a surprise, maybe something you didn't know that Dream Centers was doing, but due to the stories and the testimonies and some of the things that you've seen and heard, then you're going to be able to share that with others. I want to give you some numbers now. And, you know, me and numbers. Most of you who've ever interacted with me knows this is scary waters for me right now. That's why I wrote this down. But to keep the doors open, for example, to keep the doors open at Mary's Home, it costs approximately $98 a day for each of the families, $98 a day, which is $3,000 per month, and that's $36,000 a year for a family to live at Mary's Home. And that is their apartment. That's what they need to be able to complete the journey. But it's also a beautiful picture, and I wanted to share this with you because we actually have a need right now. Because when we say to the moms and the children, welcome home, when those mamas walk into that apartment, that beautifully decorated apartment, by the way, when they walk into that apartment and they see it, there's tears. There's always tears because it's so beautiful. The apartments are beautifully decorated. They bring such a dignity, and it really does speak hope to these moms and to the kids. And when they walk in and we say, welcome home, the beautiful staff and volunteers have gone to such detail that what they're doing is they have provided toothbrushes and toothpaste and coffee cups and placemats and everything that that family will need to live there. And so when we are able to then say, okay, mom and families, you have graduated, you've successfully gone through the programs at Mary's Home. When we say to them, you are on to the next step, to that independent living, here's what happens. They take all of that with them. They take the furniture with them. They take everything that they've been living with at Mary's Home because it really is theirs and it's their beautiful startup. And so I'm reminded of that because as I was asking, what are some of the current needs that we have right now that are most pressing? That's one of them. We had a mom successfully complete a program here at Mary's Home, and so we're able to say, all right, time to flip that apartment. It's time to bring in some new. And that costs about $3,000 for us every time we flip that apartment. So that's an easy way for us to be able to sort of capture that monetary value and to capture that. $50 provides a professional trauma counseling appointment at the Women's Clinic. Unbelievable. If you've ever gone to counseling, you know it costs a lot more than that. But through our services, we are able to provide free to the client, free to that woman needing, and a lot of women are needing this right now, but counseling services. But to you, the donor, $50 of your donation will go towards that and can provide that. $25 covers one of those office visits. The woman we talked about at the beginning of this show, $25 will cover her appointment as you give. $100 will cover a mammogram to a woman who has little or no insurance and possibly save her life. So when you give a gift, please know it's not just the monetary factor. It's truly the life-changing, the life-giving, and possibly the life-saving donation that you're contributing to. Our total goal for this year, because we have to have a goal, we were able to, last year at our annual tea, have a $30,000 goal, and we met that because of you. And so, we're going to go big or go home, right? We're not walking in fear, and we're not letting COVID-19 back us up. We're saying, okay, Lord, anything and everything is possible with you. And so as a team, we were praying and saying, okay, $36,000 provides 1 year for a family to live at Mary's Home. $36,000 would be an amazing amount. And if you give $36,000 or any amount to our Dream Centers, then we're able to sort of figure out where's the best use for that donation. But $36,000 is an amount. And here's how we got to this number. It's so cool. If 150 of you are watching right now and registered for this, and we know who you are, here's the thing. If 150 of you gave $20 a month, don't even make me guilt you about how many Starbucks that would be. But if you could give $20 a month, 150 of you equals $3,000 a month, equals $36,000. So that's our goal. We are putting out a big goal for this tea of $36,000. And I would love to be able to say, okay, we met that goal, and it was because everyone watching the ladies' virtual tea was able to give. And so I want to put that out there, but I also want to say we also understand that right now it's difficult. You may not be able to give financially. You may be walking out your own financial circumstances right now with, like we talked, loss of jobs, loss of your stability, loss of the provision that you've known. So we understand that. We serve a mighty God. We're asking boldly because we know that generosity starts in the heart, and it's from Him. And so we want to invite you into our goal and our dream to be able to give. I want to really ask you to consider prayerfully giving monthly. That just helps us to be able to plan and know what's coming, especially in these uncertain times. But joining us and being able to do that is our prayer today. And then also, I want to invite you on a tour, because you're only getting to see just a little snippet of this beautiful, beautiful room. I'm sitting, and Jean and I are here at the Family Life Center of our Mary's Home property. And some of you have been down here and seen this, and then some of you have gone to the women's clinic. But it's the best thing to be able to say, hey, I'll invite you, Jean will invite you, all of us will invite you to come and see and walk through, and not to say, oh, look at how great Dream Centers is and what all they've done. Look and see what the Lord has done. Because the Lord has given us the vision and the hope and the dream to provide health and hope to the people of this community, but He is also moving on your hearts to join us. Join us in the ways that He will lay on your heart, and to Him all the glory, truly all the glory. I also want to let you know that for those of you who registered, and if you didn't, it's never too late. Go ahead and go on the website, just so we know who you are and where you were watching from. But we're going to have a drawing. It's a great drawing because someone beautifully and graciously donated a $100 gift card and said, hey, give this out to somebody today. So those of you who are registered, we're going to do a drawing, and you could win the $100 gift card. And as a reminder, we had so many great questions. We want to keep a dialogue going. And so every week, and I say every, let's see how long, but check the website. But every week, what we'd like to plan for is a 15-minute huddle up at 10 o'clock a.m. Mountain Standard Time on Tuesdays, where we come to you virtually and just talk and answer questions. I'd love to pull our CEO, I'd love to pull Matthew Ayers in and have him join us and answer questions. I would love to pull in maybe some of the other subject matter experts to be able to say, hey, ask any question. This is for you. So I want to close us out in prayer, and I want to close us out with a scripture verse. This hour has gone way too fast. Isaiah 40:31 has really been one that I've been clinging to, and I know we've talked a lot about it. But those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles. They will run and not grow weary. Embrace that today. They will walk and not be faint. Lord, we ask you to meet us right where we are. Where we are these days, Lord, is right where we want to be, utterly and completely dependent on you. Father, it's for our good and for your glory. And I ask you, Lord, that as we reach toward you and out towards others so boldly and so courageously, so tenderly, Lord, help us to tenderly, lovingly bring hope that is provided to you and by you and for your glory. We love you. We praise you. We thank you in Jesus' name. Amen. Jean, now we get to enjoy our, literally, our ladies' tea, and we hope that you are enjoying your ladies' tea. Have your cups, have your fun hats, have your dialogue, and stay connected with us through Facebook and through our webpage, and we will see you soon. Thank you for joining us.